Welcome to the Post Route. Here is your host, W. Earl Kitchings.
Good evening and welcome to the Post Route, the show where we dive deep into conversations with black quarterbacks, both past and present. I'm your host, W. Earl Kitchings, and this show is proudly brought to you by Quarter Five Back, the preeminent fraternity of black quarterbacks and home of the prestigious BIP Memorial Trophy, the only award that honors both the top HBCU quarterback and the top black quarterback from high schools across the country. We are thrilled to have you with us tonight. If you enjoy our content and our show, we want you to support what we're doing here on the Post Route. So please hit the button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Join us live every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more phenomenal questions with quarterbacks from the past and the present. Well, I got a new look on tonight. I hope everybody likes it. Let me just move my microphone out the way so you can see it. It's the one of the new Quarter Five Back t-shirts that we're offering. This was the base one that we're doing. Our other full logo will be ready for us to show to you next week. But right now, our Quarter Five Back t-shirt in black and white is good to go. And we're hoping that we can get you involved with getting you one of these phenomenal t-shirts. Before we get to my guest tonight, who is going to bring us a boatload of information about his career, both on the field and off the field. I don't think we've ever had a gentleman to talk about both sides of football, from both the player and the administrative side and the coaching side. But we got him on tonight, and he's going to talk to us about his career and what he's been doing for quarterbacks and what he's done for quarterbacks over the past few years. But before we do that, let me let you know that we are getting into the very, very near end of our 2024 football season. College programs are getting into the latter part of their conference schedule. High schools are getting ready for the playoffs. And man, it is some great football being played here in America. And there are a lot of outstanding black quarterbacks leading these teams at both the high school level and the collegiate level. So let's jump right into it and give you the names of our watch list for this week as we talk about the top quarterbacks from the collegiate level. Starting with number 10 this week, Kelvin Durham from Fort Valley State out of the SIAC. He's now up to 1,765 yards and 22 touchdowns. He's in the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9 from Virginia State, Romello Williams, 1,879 yards and 17 touchdowns. Out of the SWAC, graduate student Daniel Richardson, 1,972 yards and 19 touchdowns. He is in the mix for that SWAC title, and he's still hoping that maybe the Rattlers can get a chance to go defend their championship. At number 7, Mekhi Higgins, a redshirt junior from Arkansas Pine Bluff, another SWAC quarterback at 2,059 yards, 15 touchdowns. Out of the Big South OVC Conference, Draylon Ellis, another graduate quarterback, 2,084 yards and 15 touchdowns. Moving up the ladder now, Eric Phoenix. That guy had a phenomenal game this past week as he led the Bulldogs of South Carolina State to a big win over the Eagles of North Carolina Central. He's at 2,112 yards and 16 touchdowns, and he is very, very familiar with that offense they're running up there at South Carolina State because he is playing with his coach that gave him a lot of opportunities over there at Benedict, so they are starting to click on all 8 cylinders. Coming in at number 4, a very disappointing loss for this gentleman last week as the Bulls, the Golden Bulls of Johnson C. Smith, dropped to Fayetteville State, but he's in at number 4 with 2,127 yards, and that's Darius Ocean. At number 3, from a guy that you're not going to hear a lot about unless you're checking out the Post Route, and his name is Torrance Bardell, a junior out at Langston University out there in Langston, Oklahoma, 2,274 yards and 20 touchdowns. Coming in at number 2 from the SIAC, another one of those fine quarterbacks, 2,405 yards, 30 touchdowns Isaiah Knowles, a redshirt sophomore, and still at the top of the list, the junior from Clark, Atlanta, out of the SIAC, the phenomenal David Wright, 2,742 yards, 26 touchdowns. This thing is getting tighter as we get to the end. So we're going to see who's going to be our 2024 Bill Memorial Trophy winner from the HBCUs. Now, when we turn our attention to the high schools, let me tell you, these guys are lining it up and tossing it all over the place too. Got a lot of great guys that we want to share. Been a little moving around on the list, but a lot of the guys are still on there. At number 15, a new guy that's coming on to our 2024 watch list for black quarterbacks at the American high school level, Champ Mayo, a junior out of Temple High School in Temple, Texas, 2,324 yards, 24 touchdowns. Another new guy coming in from Pompano Beach, Blanche Ely High School, Omari McNeil Jr., 2,341 yards, 20 touchdowns. At number 13, Jaden Jefferson out of Cathedral High School. He's a sophomore from Los Angeles, 2,400 yards, 29 touchdowns. At number 12, DeAndre Golston, a senior from Raleigh, North Carolina, playing for Leesville Road. He's at 2,437 yards, 30 touchdowns. At number 11, Rashawn Truell, a senior out of Savannah, Georgia at New Hampstead High School, 2,532 yards, 26 touchdowns. Now we get into our top 10. At number 10, one of the most phenomenal high school quarterbacks. If you haven't seen this gentleman, I hope you get a chance to, but you will see him on the college level next year. His name, Julian Juju Lewis, the phenomenal junior out of Carrollton High School in Carrollton, Georgia. Through 10 games, he's got 2,549 yards, 36 touchdowns. Just to give you a little bit more background about him, in his ninth grade season, he threw for over 4,100 yards and 42 touchdowns as a ninth grader. He is leaving high school early. He has completed all his work. So next year should be his senior season, but it won't be. It'll be his freshman year at USC unless something changes. At number 9, Keelan Russell, Duncanville High School in Duncanville, Texas, 2,626 yards, 36 touchdowns. At number 8, Bryce Baker from Kernersville, North Carolina for East Forsyth High. He's a senior, 2,629 yards, 30 touchdowns. Coming in at number 7 is Bryson Riggins, a junior from Russell County High in Sealy, Alabama, 2,681 yards, 36 touchdowns. At number 6, Antorius Johnson, a senior, another Alabama product from Calera, Alabama at Calera High School, 2,805 yards and 19 touchdowns. At number 5 spot, Jackson Bird from Cleveland High in Clayton, North Carolina, 2,856 yards, 33 touchdowns. Coming in at number 4, another Georgia product from Warner Robins, Georgia, Houston County High, Antoine Hill. He's a senior with 2,874 yards. At the 3,000-yard mark is Jalen Hewitt of Havelock High in Havelock, North Carolina, 3,174 yards and 31 touchdowns. Coming in at number 2, the young man that set a new record for high school football at one level with 800 yards a couple of weeks ago, Peyton Houston, the sophomore out of Evangel Christian Academy in Shreveport, Louisiana, 3,411 yards and 30 touchdowns. But the man that has put more distance between him and everybody else at 5,200, that's right, 5,239 yards, 55 touchdowns, the senior out of Jacksonville, Florida's Zarephath Academy, Jordan Durham. And he's already signed to go play football at Valdosta State. So even though you won't hear about him on the upper level, you're going to hear about him at that D2 level. And maybe he just might do what his brother did at Valdosta State in his freshman year, is to win a Division II national championship. We got to wait and see. So those are our guys for the high school level. So now, let me tell you, our quarterback of the week. Now, I know, you want to play a game and really have a great homecoming, but when you put 91 points on the board, man, that game gets a little boring and everybody's ready to go party. So our quarterback of the week from Virginia Union University, a senior, Mark Wright, last week in their 91-0 thrashing, dismantling of Bluefield State for homecoming, he threw for 347 yards. He was 11 of 15. And I'm sure our guest tonight can tell you that 11 of 15, you're just starting to get warmed up. But at 347 yards, I'm sure his coach took him out the game because the Panthers of Virginia Union are at the top of the CIAA. So I'm sure he didn't want to get him hurt. He threw 4 touchdown passes in that game. So 3 of those 4 touchdowns came in the second quarter alone as Virginia scored 41 points in just the second quarter. But I got one more mention. I got an honorable mention quarterback of the week. Let me tell you about a young man. He's just an 8th grader. Just an 8th grader out of Memphis, Tennessee, from Memphis Business Academy Middle School. Carry on KJ Strong. Let me tell you what this young man did. He led his team, they're nicknamed the Execs, to the City Middle School Championship by the score of 40-7 on Tuesday, October the 22nd. Take note of that. Tuesday, October the 27th, and they won over Oak Haven Middle. Then he led the team to the Tennessee State Class A1 Middle School Championship 4 days later. Won the city championship on a Tuesday, won the state championship on a Saturday, defeating Paris Inman Middle School by the score of 56-22. And hey, guess what? Not only is he an honorable mention, but he's going to be our guest in December on our show. So those are our quarterbacks of the week. I had to get in Carry On because, man, if you can win 2 championships in a matter of 4 days, well, you're pretty strong. So we're happy to hear that about that young man. And now I'm going to get back to my guest. Phenomenal guy. So glad I've met him and got a chance to talk with him. And we're getting this thing done to have him on tonight. Former quarterback at T.L. Hanna High School. Now, if that name rings a bell, if you saw the movie Radio with Cuba Gooding Jr., that's the high school he played for, the first African-American starting quarterback in the history of that school. Went on to be a phenomenal quarterback at Benedict College, set some records there. Not only did he set records there, he's now in their Sports Hall of Fame. So anytime you can make the Hall of Fame at, not too long after you've had your career at that school, man, you must have been phenomenal. He's also in the T.L. Hanna Hall of Fame. So he left there, went on to have a career in Canada, left playing in Canada, went and played arena football, then went into coaching and administration. I'm not going to give you all the details. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about that because I truly want to know how it feels to go from player to coach to GM. Joining me tonight, please welcome my guest and yours, the remarkable Ramon Robinson. Ramon, welcome to the Post Route, my man.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Earl?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. I hope I didn't say too much without having you say, well, I don't say too much. I'm good.
Now, you told a couple lies here and there, but
Well, man, I've been looking forward to having you on. I've told people every time I have guests on the show, man, it's like Christmas to me because it's always a joy and I get so much energy from having you guys on. So first, I got to talk about that T.L. Hanna thing because Radio, the movie, is one of my favorite movies. So what was that like to have that school recognized by such a phenomenal young man who did what he did to put that community and that school on the map? I mean, what was that like when your high school is on the motion picture screen?
Well, the real story, I will tell you that.
Okay.
Radio was like a manager, slash people want to say coach. And Radio was from the same side of town I was from, East Side in Anderson, South Carolina. Actually, the same area where Jim Rice, Boston Red Sox as well, from the same side of town. And Radio was one of those guys that I was always around the sports. Always, it didn't matter what sport it was: football, basketball, baseball. Halftime at basketball games, he was shooting free throws, entertaining everyone. You know what I'm saying? So in the movie, a lot of the stuff was true and a lot of it wasn't, just because of they couldn't tell the true story of everything that was going on, because honestly, there was a lot of backlash and things like that, just because my high school, I mean, I'm not going to hold back. It was a racist time during that time, and even in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? So people don't want to say that, but it needs to be known. It was just different little things that you could do and couldn't do. But it was amazing for anybody that went to my high school to see Radio in that film, you know what I'm saying, in regards to everything that went on at Tiahana High School. Some true, a lot of false, but we're going to keep it there. But it's just, I actually had the opportunity to try out for the movie, and the guy that actually directed it, but due to the obligation and the regulations of that, with the filming, nobody that attended the high school could try out for the movie, just because of, a lot of things they didn't want out, just like what I talked about with the racism, with me being, I'm in the 90s, and I'm being the first Black quarterback to play, actually start at my high school. That's uncommon, especially when you're looking at guys like the Ricky Foggers that's been on here. You're talking about the Demetrius McMullins went to South Carolina State. And we're talking about Woodruff. I got to say his name. It's just those guys, and it's just I'm looking at my situation, and I'm just like, why do I have to go through this situation? And I had to go through it, and I'm just a testament of what it takes. I didn't give up on what I wanted to do, and at the same time, it's just I saw the transition of how everybody responded to Radio. 1 minute is, get away from me, you smell like boo-boo, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, those are the things, we as athletes, we took care of Radio. We were the ones that was taking him home from practice, things like that, and, and feeding him as well. And just, like I said, the movie, I'm gonna say it's about a 60-40, okay? Radio wasn't truly embraced by everyone until that movie came out. That's just, if I'm gonna be completely honest, you know how it is. Anytime somebody,
absolutely,
they snap pictures now. Eventually, me at that time, it was, get away from me. The athletes were the ones that were around Radio and embraced Radio, because Radio was on every school bus it was that left here at high school, went to whatever school. So he was always there, regardless of whatever sport it was. He even ran track. He ran track, man. He was with the track team. He didn't just go, he ran.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Hollywood is Hollywood, man. And if you're trying to sell movies and tickets and things like that, so it's always those things where they, kind of hyphenated a little bit. But the fact that, like I said, to know that there is a T.L. Hanna High School, and to know that it got recognition. But for you to be the first African-American quarterback to be a starter there, then not only did you play football, but you played 2 other sports. So obviously, you're definitely an athlete. So you did some things, and then of course you set some records while you were in high school. So it's one of those things, man. Well, all things in time, and the man upstairs blesses us in ways that sometimes we don't see it and recognize it. But hey, he put Ramon Robinson in that situation so he could do what he did, and thank God for that, man, because you have been a blessing not only to your college but your community of Anderson and the people who've been around you. So thank God for that, and I'm just happy to know you, man, because I'm really so good to know about your history, man. You just, I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, what didn't he do? So you leave Hannah, and now it's time to follow that other dream of pursuing that college career. And talk a little bit about your college journey and being a quarterback at the collegiate level.
Well, if I can back it up just a little bit, when you're talking about Tia Hanna, You know, I looked at it a lot of different ways, and I'm gonna transition into college because a lot of people know my story, but they don't know my story. And the ones that's out there listening, they'll know it tonight. You know, my high school was a real painful time. You know, just being in a position to where, you know, someone telling you you can't do this and you can't do that, and you're getting overpowered and put in different positions because you wasn't a part of the booster club. You know, I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? My family wasn't the rich folks. You know, we 9 to 5, you know, working in the mill hills and things like that. And it's just, it was a painful time for me to where I gave up a lot of things and a lot of things that I love when it came to sports, just because I got so tired of dealing with politics. And I just had this conversation today about politics, whether it's in sports or whether it's in the government and things, what we're doing right now when it comes to voting. And it's just, I'd rather stay away from it. You know, I have to answer that call when it comes to it, but it's just, that was a very painful time when, you know, you're putting in the hard work and you're doing what you got to do and not knowing what it's like to you choosing the white guy over the black guy, vice versa.
Right.
And at that time, it's just like, there's no way this guy's better than me. You know, it's just, I mean, people know that in my town, I'm not bragging on myself, but my whole town in the area where I'm from, they knew the deal, what was going on. And I mentioned a name by the name of a guy by the name of Demetrius McMullen. Demetrius McMullen was a black quarterback before me.
Okay.
He was years older than me. He was at my high school, but my coach's son, you know, which I'm good friends with both, was the head coach. And we already know how that's going to go. If your dad's the coach and your son's the quarterback, he's going to play. And so at that time, we had so much, it's kind of like deja vu. Our situations were the same when competing for the quarterback position. You know, you got two inner city kids coming from South Side, one coming from South Side, which is Demetrius. I'm coming from East Side. And now you're having to deal with the people that have the money. You know what I'm saying? Or the people that's in power positions to say, hey, I'm going to cut this off right here, and this is the way we're going to go. And so I never forget, I was a ball boy at that time, you know, and I never forget him saying, like, hey, as a kid, hey, you better get up out of here because you're going to get done the same way. But it didn't register to me, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm young. I'm probably 13 years old at that time. I'm not understanding the white-black scenario, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And I'm not understanding at that time. But eventually, as I got older, and then when my uncle started educating me up on the different things, then I understood why Demetrius transferred from my high school and went to the crosstown rival. And next thing you know, he led him to a state championship. To the game, led him to the game, rather.
Right. He went to the state.
Yeah, but it was just those things. You know, I dealt with, you know, playing sports. Baseball was my first love. You know, I let baseball go. Let baseball go in the 10th grade when that's my sport. If I never let it go, I'm not talking football right now. I'm talking baseball. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, those are the things that I got so tired of dealing with. It didn't matter how good I was. And I always say this, nobody ever truly, it's only a small amount of people that truly saw my true talents because of what I could do, just because of, I was so tired at an early age of dealing with color, dealing with this situation, dealing with not having enough of nothing that had nothing to do with playing football. Nothing had nothing to do with playing basketball. Nothing had to do nothing with playing baseball. It's just the fact of I was in a situation where my folks didn't have money. These people had money. So now this person here is going to overpower me to do certain things. Is it still going on today in the world? Yes, it's still going on. And is it going to stop? Who knows? I mean, it is what it is. But just to transition from that, I played every position, every skill position. I would go to jamborees. I would win the star position. Next thing you know, big article in the paper. Hey, who's going to be the quarterback to Hannah High School? I drive us down there. I put on the show. I put on the show. And next thing you know, I would drive us down there. They'd take me out, put the other quarterback in. He scored. That's the type of stuff that I dealt with. And that because I was that guy. I was a complete quarterback then. I was a runner. I could do it all. Side and do all the crazy stuff you see guys doing now, sling the ball down the field 70-something yards. That wasn't a problem. It wasn't the things that I couldn't do. It was just the things I wasn't put in a position to do. You know what I'm saying? Just when they needed me, oh yeah, they put me in the game. I mean, That was me. I come in, I hit us with a bang, and boom, throw a touchdown pass, and guess what? Go back to the sideline. You know, I was playing wide receiver. I played free safety. I played a little bit of running back, and it's just those are the things that I had to deal with, you know, leading up to me and building up my character and my love for the game. To where it's a lot of times that I wanted to let it go. I would just like I let baseball go. I wanted to just let it all go, just because I was so tired mentally and just drained from. It really didn't matter what I did. I still wasn't going to get the true opportunity. But then that time, my senior year, there was no more excuses. There were no more excuses of putting this guy here, guy there. And now it was my time. And it was my time, and I took advantage of it. And I did a lot of things that hadn't been done, you know, to get me in the position to be scouted by, you know, the colleges and stuff like that. And so at that time, I earned a lot of interest from colleges. But I was so drained, and I already knew what I wanted to do. I said, hey, I'm going to end up having to go to junior college, because I knew I slacked off in my grades just due to the fact that it is I wasn't getting what I wanted out of sports.
Right.
You know? So I just went through the motions, and I always tell people I was just a stud. You know, I was just happy with what people would say about me when it came to sports. As long as I got that C, I was fine. You know, B, I didn't about no B. I didn't care about an A, because I already knew the position I was in. I was like, for me to get a Division I scholarship, and I know that's the level where I am, it's going to be hard, just because I played quarterback half the time my junior year, then I'm the full-time starter my senior year. And, you know, quarterback is a resume of things that in relationships that colleges want to have with you to build you up to get to that platform. And you know, even though I was one of those, I felt like I was that diamond in the rough that people hadn't seen. And truly I was. And then that's when the school started to come. You know, I had guys coming down and coming to the school, asking what my situation was. And at the time, my coaches told everybody I wanted to go play basketball. Told me I wanted to go play basketball. And I'm just like, well, you know, that's about the only thing I'm enjoying right now, that I didn't have to have, you know, deal with the politics. You know what I'm saying? I played basketball. I dominated basketball, but had scholarships. I didn't want to go play basketball.
Gotcha.
I didn't have a desire to play basketball. I had a desire to play, pick up, and compete with the guys, but I never had that dream of saying, hey, I want to be an NBA basketball player. Even though Michael Jordan is my idol, I never wanted to play. I never wanted to be an NBA basketball player.
Right.
I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to play football. Those are the things that I wanted to do. But it's just that I didn't have to deal with that stress side of the political part with playing basketball. And you know, that's why everybody looked like, oh, you don't want to play? I'm just like, nah, I don't care to play no basketball. I mean, and then schools start coming in, wanting to offer like Coastal Carolina and Winthrop. Man, I didn't want to go play for them schools. I said, y'all got football? They was like, nah. I said, well, I'm not coming. You know, that's where it was at. And so I did that, and along with playing AAU basketball, that drew me away from baseball as well, just because I'm already dealing with the political part. Then I'm able to have fun over here with AAU, you know, playing with Ray Allen, playing with John Morant Daddy, playing with Shamon Williams, Bobby McGowan, all those guys, Trey Staley, all those guys that I named right there had an opportunity to play professional football or play professional basketball like myself. And it was just, we all ran together and we played, but at the end of the day, I should never been playing AAU basketball. But I just enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? I did it for fun versus what I should have been doing. I gave up American Legion baseball to go have fun with basketball, just because of that was only true fun that I was having in high school as a kid at that time, when we're talking about dealing with the politics. And so it got to the point where, you know, I did my thing as a senior. I got snubbed out of 2 All-Star games by my own staff, as in coaches, at my own high school, to where I did not get chosen. I got chosen for a game, and when I was not notified. See, the whole process of how things are ran now are totally different now, even with the scholarship offers of what guys are getting now. Back then, when I was in school, everything was going through the head coach. There was no contacting the athlete. I mean, you calling the house phone. Hey, the phone might be on, it might be off.
Right.
So that process is totally different now, and especially with the platform of social media and all these different things like that. So it's much easier. But back then, these kids just don't understand how the world and how everything has transitioned to being able to control your own destiny and be able to speak to these coaches versus everything having to go through the coaches. Granted, yeah, they come to the high school, but that was the stopping point. They can come there and say X, Y, and Z, and then guess what? You may not ever hear of it anymore.
Okay.
Let it be pushed in the trash can, and guess what? They're going to keep on moving. They're going to keep on coaching. They're going to keep on saying what they need to say. Hey, a coach is coming, coach is coming. But to get to the point of going to college, I got to the point where I made a lot of noise, and I started getting schools coming in, and they just wanted to know what I want to do. And so
Okay.
like I told you, I was behind in the classroom at that point, and I had one opportunity to take the SAT. And if I took that SAT, I'd have had the opportunity to sign at my dream school at that time, which was Clemson University, but I didn't pass my score. And I had a guy by the name of Mr. Perry Tuttle. Perry Tuttle was
I know Perry
at Clemson University. He'll tell you he became my mentor. And what happened with that is he had a radio talk show at the time, and he was just like, hey, what's the deal with the big quarterback out of Anderson, South Carolina, with the cannon of arm, can throw the country mile, he can run it, he can do X, Y, and Z. If anybody got any information on him, I would love somebody to contact the show, because we would love to hear from him up here. And at that time, he came down. My guidance counselor at the time came down, which was my son's mom, my son's grandmother at the time.
Right.
Her husband contacted Perry and told him, and next thing you know, Perry showed up at the school, and we had a conversation.
Okay.
Asked me what did I want to do, because the word was out that I wanted to go play basketball. And I just started laughing. I couldn't do nothing but laugh. And next thing you know, I told him what my plan was and what I wanted to do. So I chose Fort Union. I had the opportunity to go to Fort Union, which was a military school, the top prep school at the time. And I had Itawamba, I had Fort Scott, Butler, all those schools right there at the time. You had one prep school. I had one prep school that wanted me, and I had three junior colleges that were ranked number one in their respective areas in junior college football. And I chose Itawamba, which reason why I chose Itawamba is because that's where Clemson and South Carolina, if you want an opportunity to go back to Clemson, or not back to Clemson, but to go to Clemson and go to South Carolina, that's where Clemson and South Carolina hid their players away. I had an opportunity. I signed there. When I signed there, Joe Horn was there. Joe Horn, Deuce Staley, Darren Niccolo, Homer Torrance, Frank Murphy. I'm talking about, it was star-studded. And Sean Young, who he was from the area as well. He ended up signing with Clemson. But I made the opportunity. I made the choice to sign there just because, for one, I looked at it, I said, well, whichever one is closest to home, that's where I'm going.
Okay.
Because I was either going to go to Kansas, or I was going to Virginia, or I was going to Mississippi. And I looked at the military part of everything. And then my partner, Shimon, was at Fort Union. And I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. But I fell in love with their highlight tape. When I fell in love with their highlight tape, and the coach came down to the school and brought some guys down, man, and that just blew me away. He came down, and it showed the interest of what they wanted from me, and told me a lot more about the program and the history of the program. And then that's when I signed with Itawamba Community College. Okay.
Well, hold it right there, Ramon. We're going to take a quick break, man, and come back and talk a little bit about Benedict football and then your career as a pro football player and as a coach and general manager.
Yes, sir.
Joining me tonight is the great, the outstanding, the awesome Ramon Robinson, formerly of Benedict College, formerly of Canadian football, formerly of the Arena League, Hall of Famer at TL Hanna, Hall of Famer at Benedict College. So we're going to get back to him, but we've got a break and we're going to take it right quick. Don't forget, you see the shirt I'm wearing tonight. So you see that. That's one of the shirts that we have. So these shirts are now on sale. They're selling for $19.99. We're going to do a special for them since we're just introducing them. And then our other shirt, the logo shirt, which we'll have ready to show you more than just the picture. We'll have these shirts available starting next week. They're going to be $30. And then behind that shirt, we're going to have, man, I got a shirt that's coming that's going to really blow everybody's mind when we put it out. But we want to let you know that we're starting the merchandise. So $19.99 for the shirt I have on, $30 for the logo shirt, and then we got another logo shirt coming. If you want to support what we're doing, what we do is ask you to join us by becoming a member of our organization. You want to join us and become a teammate, you can do that. You can go on Zelle for only $44. You will get the Quarterfied Bag t-shirt. That's another shirt we're going to be having for just those people who do the teammate. So you could do that, get your decal and get your certificate for your 1-year membership for $44. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just send us $4.40 to get the supporter decal and certificate to let everyone know that you're a proud supporter of Quarterfied Back, the preeminent fraternity for Black quarterbacks. We need your support. We're asking for it. Hey, give somebody an opportunity to ask you, what is Quarterfied Back? Get you a decal, get you a t-shirt, and let everybody know that we are making sure that we preserve the legacies of Black quarterbacks here around the country and around the world, because we're talking to guys from not only in America, but in Europe, Mexico, Japan. We're trying to talk to all the quarterbacks throughout. And I just want to give you a quick shot of what the quarterback of the week looked like. That's Mark Wright, the senior from Virginia Union. And just below him is Carryon KJ Strong, the phenomenal 8th grader from Memphis Business Academy, who won 2 championships within a matter of 5 days. He won a city championship and he won the state championship for middle school. So we're happy to acknowledge him. We're going to get back to our guest tonight, Mr. Ramon Robinson, and talk a little bit about his time at Benedict College, where he put some things together. Ramon, welcome back to the Post Route. Hey, talk a little bit about your experience when you got to Benedict College, and that last year was such a phenomenal year when you played at Benedict, also in the state of South Carolina. And, you know, I think Benedict is the only college that has a built-in rivalry that's, I guess, within a matter of yards between Benedict and Allen. South Carolina, I don't know what y'all doing in South Carolina, man, but South Carolina State and Claflin are just as close together as Benedict and Allen, man. So the rivalries, although Claflin doesn't have football, but Benedict and Allen, man, I know y'all talk a lot of trash when it comes time for y'all to play that game.
Listen, you know what's crazy is I wasn't a part of the Benedict Allen rival. They didn't actually, when I was at Benedict, they didn't have football.
Football hadn't come back yet.
Football hadn't came back yet, but now it was a rivalry between basketball. You know,
Okay.
Yeah. So for the folks that don't know, it's only a road split. So that you know, a lot of times, honestly, I can tell you, I don't even remember walking on Allen campus. That's what's so crazy.
Is that right?
I went over there one time.
Okay.
Yeah, I might have went over there one time, but you know, now that rivalry at that time, that was after me. But during the time when I went to Benedict, it was kind of a bittersweet thing.
Okay.
At that time, I just had a child. That's when I left junior college. I had a child, and at the time, you know, I wanted to go back to JUCO just because I still had those dreams of playing Division I football.
Right.
But also, I had to start looking at things because I'm a father now.
Sure.
I'm a father, so I looked at the situation, and I had a coach by the name of William Hatton, who was my AAU coach. He was my AAU basketball coach, and he was from the area. And at the time, he had actually was coaching at Allen, then shifted over to Benedict. And Benedict was just getting the program. And at the time when he contacted me, the program was already there for 1 year. Yeah. And I came down and visited, and I left. I was just like, it wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't for me. And I went back home. And next thing you know, I went to Montgomery Junior College. Montgomery Junior College was in Maryland.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went to Maryland. They all over me, want me, and didn't realize that there was no dormitories, for the school. So I had to get an apartment and all that. I'm just like, man, I'm on my own. So I stayed with one of my buddies from from Anderson at the time because he had just graduated from Howard, and
Okay.
he was in a studio, man, and that wasn't going to be rocking. That wasn't going to be good.
No.
So I ended up coming back home. I went to Benedict, and I just made the best of it. I just had to suck it up, and I made the best of it. I went there, and at the time they had a Harold Jackson who had just came from. He was with the Rams.
Right.
He played. He's the original 2-9 for the Rams, not Eric Dickerson for everyone that
the Rams and the Vikings.
Yeah, and the Vikings. But he played at Jackson State. He came in.
Yep.
He was the head coach, and he brought in an all-pro staff. And all the guys that he had were my offensive coordinator, who I told you I was talking to the other night. We was trying to gather film and everything and stuff like that. So neither one of us could. Robert Weathers, he was out of Port Fear. Yeah. But anyway, and he played at Arizona State. He was my offensive coordinator, and Mr. Julius Adams at the time, the late Julius Adams, rest in peace. Yeah. He was the D coordinator, and he played for the New England Patriots. Robert Weathers played for New England Patriots. We had a few other coaches that played in the NFL and played Canadian League ball as well. But like I said, we had a staff that had all the playing experience and pro experience, and they gave it back to us. It's just that we didn't have the best of things by far. We didn't have the best of things by far. And, I used to look at situations. I was like, man, I had better stuff when I was at my high school. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a better situation of playing, but I didn't have, coming out of schools like that. Yeah, we had money, but we had that's what the adjustment was for me. I had to look at things for what they were and not what they was, where I came from. And then I just finally I buckled down, and I just went out there and competed and had some I played with a lot of hell of a talent at Benedict College, and got a lot of guys that were coming from situations like me from all across the country, and just went in there and Coach Weathers embraced me along with my other quarterback colleague who was Kelvin Trimmer. I always looked at him as a player coach, and that's my brother. And, we just rocked it out, and, we learned the playbook, and he put a lot of things. He made us want to play the game.
Gotcha.
And I say that he wanted us to be a student of the game and not just out here just practicing, going home, eating, going to sleep, getting back up. He put everything in our hands. He made us come up with our own game plan. Third and short, what are you doing on this play? Third and long, what are you doing here? Right. Those are the things that he did. He was preparing us for the next level just because of that's what he came from. That's just like me right now. I don't train no kid to be the best high school. I'm training you to be a pro. I'm giving you the knowledge that I have. I can't give you high school knowledge because I don't remember that. You know what I'm saying? I'm only going to give you what got me where I was at. You know what I'm saying? And now it's for you to, take it to the next level. But, my time at Benedict, it was one of those. I did good my freshman year. Now I ain't gonna say my sophomore year there. And a lot of times, and a lot of people don't know it's independent. Benedict was independent at that time. Probably had 150, 200 players. You know what I'm saying? And so it was just at that time, I would start a few games, and another quarterback by the name of David Gorey would start games just because of we independent. You wanted everybody to play, and at the same time, it was a stopping point for some. And honestly, that's what I used Benedict for at that time. I said, hey, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get me a year under my belt, and then I'm gonna transfer. And honestly, that's what I did. I went there, I started. Next thing you know, coaches around the country started finding out about me, and I ended up getting a scholarship offer from East Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Norfolk State. And you look at me and people be like, huh? Well, why didn't you go to East Carolina or Norfolk or Virginia Tech? Well, it was done differently. Then they wanted me to just show up to school, enroll, and then they would give me a scholarship once I started practicing. And I was just like, nah, I went to Norfolk State, and they were just like, hey, we're giving you a full ride. They was just transitioning out the CIAA into the MEAC. You know, they just transitioned out the CIAA to the MEAC. And
so Ramon, what year were you at Norfolk State? Because I was working at Bethune-Cookman when Norfolk State was making that transition, and they had was it Aaron Sparrow?
Aaron Sparrow and James Rowe.
Man, what a combination.
Yes. Aaron Sparrow and James Rowe were the number 1-2 connect in Division II football.
Were you there then?
No. I came the year they left. The year they left, they came and recruited me.
Okay.
My other star receiver. Hey, but they tried to get my whole receiving corps from Benedict. Yeah. Like seriously, they got Adrian Brown. Adrian Brown was out of Columbia, South Carolina. They got Adrian. They got me. They got a guy by the name of Joe Hayes. They was trying to get my number one receiver, who was Nathaniel Coon Freeman. We call him Coon. He was out of Belgrade, Florida.
Okay.
They tried to get all of us, and they got another guy by the name of Michael Early. Michael Early played center, ended up staying there. But it was crazy how the things happened with we all transferred, and at that time we was independent, but we played games in the CIAA and the SIAC.
Right.
When it came to me, it was just like I'm having to sit out ball games because everybody kept wondering, like, why is he leaving Norfolk State? Why is he leaving Norfolk State? Well, at the time, technically, I didn't really want to leave the area then. I wanted to go to South Carolina State because that's where my brother, my best friend, was at. I wanted to play there, but the offense wasn't for me. It wasn't for me at that time. You know, they were still running.
Wait, South Carolina State?
Yeah. It was.
Coach Jeffries don't throw the football, man. Coach Jeffries. Hey, Ramon, Coach Jeffries had a standing joke, man, when he would come to the MEAC press conference before the season. He said, I don't even pass on the interstate.
Right. No, that's honest truth. So, you know, I was just like, I'm not going there. And so I went to visit Norfolk State. I fell in love with it. I went on my official visit, and I'm going to give you a quick story. I went on my official visit, and if people don't know who Tim Montgomery is from South Carolina. He was the fastest guy in the country, and he was the guy that dropped the baton, and Marion Jones and things like that. He was from South Carolina. He hosted me. So when I'm on my trip, you know, they just had got back from the Olympics and hosting and the thing called the Woo Woo Girls.
That's Virginia State.
Virginia State, and
the Woo Woo Girls.
Those are supposed to be the beautiful women in college football, handpicked and all this and that stuff. So I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm not knowing all this, you know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't deep into the Black college roots of this is, you know what I'm saying? This is the history of this and that, so forth. And next thing you know, I go in there and this place is like lit up in the gym. I'm talking about it was packed house. Yep. So at the time, we sitting there watching the game, and little be known, the other quarterback that was on a recruiting trip with me, nobody on here, if we had a question there, who's the other quarterback, and they wouldn't know. The other quarterback
was Michael Vick.
Michael Vick.
That was the other quarterback.
He was the other quarterback on the visit, but see, Mike was still in high school.
Oh, okay.
He was still in high school at Warwick High School. He was just getting on the mark. See, everybody was all about Ronald Curry. Ronald Curry was from Hampton. And at the time,
Ronald Curry, yeah.
Yeah, and so at that time, technically, that was the first offer that he actually got was from Norfolk State.
Wow.
Yeah, because nobody was recruiting him because he's from an inner city black school. Inner city black school. Yeah, and nobody was recruiting him. So at the time, man, we sitting out there at the Comfort Inn parking lot tossing the football in the yard, man. I mean, out there just going back and forth, man. And yeah. And so the coach was just like, hey, when you come here, hopefully, he said, but I don't think we're going to get him. You'll have a year and he'll be coming in and he'll be a freshman when you're leaving and stuff like that, man. And so that was one of the stories I tell people, like,
wow,
they know my story, but they don't know my story. I've always been in position. You know what I'm saying? I've always been in position and things like that. But it's just, I went there, signed, had to sit out, and I said, you know what? I ain't doing all this nonsense. I'm not sitting out no ball game. So I went back to Benedict. I went back to Benedict after the official visit. I went, did what I had to do, came back up. I won the position in 2 days. I won the position in 2 days at Norfolk State. I won it in 2 days, announced a starter. First game of the season was playing FAMU.
Yeah.
I left. I'm talking about they had the T-shirts, my name on the back of it, number 17.
They laid it out for you.
Yeah, I'm talking now. This was a whole squad. It was a FAMU T-shirt and it was a Norfolk State T-shirt, and they had the 4 rosters. I forgot the name of the classic at the time, but man, it was matter of fact, I would have been going against Patrick Bonner. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, that would have been a hell of a game, man, because he is one of the most treasured quarterbacks from FAMU. The Mad Bomber, Patrick Bonner. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
we did that. And so I came back to Benedict. And like I told you, I just had to, that's when I had to sit down and say, you know what, this is it. I said, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it from here. And I came back, and that was my best season by far at Benedict. That's when, going into my last year, that's when me and my receivers were named preseason All-Americans.
Okay.
We was the top 1-2 connect in college football at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, he had, I think it was like 1,500 to 1,600 yards receiving. Just him alone, you know, and we went from there. The next thing you know, my senior year, we switched coaches. They fired Julius Adams because they was going into NCAA play, you know, and regulations to where they had to follow the rules and stuff like that. And that's when my career went from here. I was the most talked about Division II quarterback, you know, in the NAIA ranks at the time, because Benedict was NAIA.
Right.
And, I was ranked, I think it was an article. I think I was ranked number 8, number 5 at one time, and I think the lowest I went was number 8 throughout the whole career. And next thing you know, went into my next year. They hired a new coach. He comes in and brought a wing tee.
Well, you knew that was it for you when they brought in the wing tee. No more passing for you at that time, man. They brought you in the wing tee. But you know, the beautiful thing about it, man, even through all of those things that you went through, you still got an opportunity to play professional football because you went to Canada. You still got a chance to, you know, be a professional. So you leave Benedict, you go to Canada, play for Saskatchewan, and you had a great career up there. I know it's a little different up there playing in that 3-down football league up there with the extended football field, but I would think Canadian football suited any passer perfect.
Right. So this is the thing. I signed with Saskatchewan in '99, but I never reported until 2001, I think. 2001.
Okay.
Because at the time, I had built my resume up, and people, like I said, when we talk about going to the wing tee, going from the spread offense to the wing tee, a lot of schools didn't, a lot of colleges, not colleges, let me pause, a lot of pro teams didn't realize I had played my last year. Because, you know, I think about it, I went from being up here statistically to now I'm not even being found. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Now they didn't know where I was at. The next thing you know, we have our pro day, and they're just like, okay, we thought you had got hurt or something. I was like, nah, they switched the offense on me.
Right.
And, you know, it was fine. The coach, you know, he told me a good one. You know, he told me the receivers a good one. You know, hey, we still going to pass. You know what I'm saying? We're going to pass, blah, blah, blah. You know, this is what Delaware do. We can't just give up the pass, because, I mean, honestly, we at that time, I put this on everything from South Carolina to Clemson to South Carolina State, any football school, whether it's Presbyterian, Newberry, whatever it is, we had the best receiving corps in the state of South Carolina. That's hands down.
Okay.
That's hands down. And I would go to bat. You know, South Carolina had 2 guys here. When I say a full staff of receivers, I had them across the board.
Okay.
You know, and I'm talking about Nathaniel Freeman, 6'5", Kenny Solomon, 6'4", Bernard Kitt, 6 foot, running 4.3 40. You know, I can keep going. I had a tight end that was 6'6", Lily Schuler, who's coaching in high school football right now. I had Bruce Baker. I'm talking about Sean Purnell. I'm talking about, I had guys.
Right.
When we switched to a wing tee, it kind of it took the love out of me. You know, I was all for it. And I've always been a team guy, never been a cancerous guy. That's not me. It just got to the point where it took the love of football out of me, because I know where my goals were, and I wanted to play professional ball. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to play professional ball, and I didn't see myself in that situation with the offense that we got. You know, I went from throwing the ball 30-something times a game, and we rushing it 30-something times a game, to we running it 30-40, and I'm throwing it. Hey, my percentage was high. I might be 8-12 or 10 for 12 or 10 for 15, but it was just at some point in time, if you're not running the wing tee right, it's all in. It's never flood right, flood left. You know, I was pro style quarterback, ISO guy, and shotgun whenever needed. But it took the love out the game from me at Benedict to where I had to come to the point where I had to sit down talk with my coach my senior year, to where my head is not technically in it to continue to lead the team. And I had my buddy was the backup, and that was Royington Williams. And he was more suited for the offense just because, Wing T is a glorified running back playing quarterback,
Gotcha.
and that time. And that's honest, that's
Okay.
where it was at.
Well, Ramon, we got a couple of minutes, man. I want you to talk a little bit about what you're doing now with your quarterback thing and the camp you're doing and you grooming guys to be quarterbacks. So talk a little bit about that in the next couple of minutes because we're about out of time.
Gotcha. Well, what we're doing now, we came up with quarterback fraternity where we want to educate, black quarterbacks and others, on how to play the position and what obstacles you're going to run into as being a black quarterback. And a lot of guys don't realize that they play in the position, but they don't know what they're getting into because there's a lot of scrutinizing and things like that.
Sure.
To where it gets back to what I was telling you, you can't do this and can't do that. And it's nothing you can't do in this world. It's just the level of where they want to see that. And, if we do something freakish in it, that doesn't mean we can't play quarterback. Just because we break a run or do a certain move, don't criticize us or say we can't play the position because we're not just sitting in here like concrete bricks doing the football. But we educate them. We go around the country and we do seminars and on what it is, not about character, leadership, and everything, recruiting and everything. We do a full symposium in whatever state that we go through. And we put together a good group of guys that's played collegiately or professionally. And that's the criteria. You either had to play collegiately or play professionally to be able to, go through those obstacles and those adversity situations. Guys all the time, I played quarterback in high school. I say no disrespect, but don't ever compare playing high school football to the collegiate ranks or the professional ranks, because there's a lot of other things that go into all that to where you don't know. It's a job now. It was fun in high school. And any high school kids is on here now, enjoy the game while you can right now while it's fun. Because once you sign in college, it's a business. You already know it's a business after you get the opportunity to play professional football. And, I had to understand that because I've always educated myself up on that because I knew I wanted to play the game. So I started educating myself up on what is a general manager, what is a director of player personnel, and that's why I majored in, sports management. And that's what I continue to do. And I always knew the obstacles and the things that were going to go on. If I had the opportunity to make it to the next level, and I did, with my career. So I did some great things on the pro level and set some records, and happy with my career. I sustained an injury, 32 stitches at the age of 32, and it took me on out.
All right. Okay. Well, right on the screen, if you're interested in your son learning about being a quarterback from A to Z, here's the guy you need to contact, Ramon Robinson. You see his information, RR Elite Quarterback Academy at Quarterback Coach RR17. He'll help hook you up, tighten you up, make that guy the next outstanding quarterback. His number is 864-437-3391. Hey, man, it's been a joy having you on tonight. I know there's so much more we need to talk about, man, and I'm just going to put a pin in that because I'm going to bring you back on another show going forward because we need to talk about some of the other things because the general manager and the coach part, that's a business part that folks need to know about and need to talk about. So I'm going to make sure we get back together and bring you back on a future show, man. But thank you so very much for being our guest tonight and sharing your story with everybody. That's Ramon Robinson, everybody, from Benedict, and we love having him on tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Earl. You got to make sure you scout some high school and some middle school quarterbacks over here in South Carolina when you're giving out all them accolades now. So tighten up. Tell them
to send. If they send it to us, we'll do it, man. If they send it to us, we'll do it. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll be talking to you real soon. Well, that's going to about do it for me tonight here on the Post Route. We'll thank our guest tonight, Mr. Ramon Robinson, for being here. As always, I'd like to thank our chief photographer, Will Relaford, our social media director, Kemal Lazir, and as always, my number one wing person, Ms. Ronleen Kennedy, our producer, and director for the Outstanding Professional Help. Until next Monday night, join us here on the Post Route. And again, if you're interested in getting a t-shirt, just check us out. Until next Monday here on the Post Route, I'm W. Earl Kitchings, your host. And as we always say, go deep, go for the bomb. Take care, everybody.